Hey folks, so the rain has finally stopped and I thought I'd give a quick look here at the Aqueduct version 2.0. You may remember I had this set up as a big hill stream biotope, and I'll be honest with you, I was having a bit of trouble with it just with the amount of sunlight it gets, and I was just constantly batting it. The whole thing was going green, the water was green, the walls were green, the plants were green, everything was green, and I actually had an issue where it was actually a bird pooped in the open top and it killed off the very smaller fish, which was really heartbreaking. So I moved all of the fish that were left inside. All of the panda cories are perfectly fine, so I moved them all inside. And what I've done is I've created a system here on this one. I've added in something slightly different here, and it means that these guys here are basically connected to the pond. I'll show you what I've done, because you can see here I'm taking advantage now of the fact that it's getting lots of sunlight. You can see I've got a lovely green carpet here down the bottom, which has grown nicely, and that's only a couple of weeks there, and in 2 or 3 weeks this is all after growing. You can see that was kind of nasty black plastic, and it's getting some lovely green algae. I love that green algae, and that's really good. That helps with the nutrient load and it absorbs nutrients, and it's all really good. So essentially what I've done is, this is an overflow. Now we can see I've got fresh clean water here flowing in, and that is flowing in, but we also have this here. I'll go on. I'll talk about the water coming in now in a moment. Now I'll talk about the outlet. This outlet is essentially an overflow skimmer, and that's allowing water to flow down through there, and when it does, it actually goes back into the system that the pond is connected to. So it goes down and it comes out here. Now it flows along this setup here. I've got some kind of exposed area here at the back. It flows through here, it flows through. Now this is a live kind of biological filter. It's full of stone, good bacteria, worms and snails and isopods and stuff. Flows through all of this. Loads of duckweed as well, and the duckweed grown. That's why the last system, the original aqueduct, was right down flat on this, but I thought I'll make this more alive and I'll add in some plant matter as well, because that always helps. And growing a bit of extra duckweed in there means I can just take handfuls of it and bring it around here and feed it to Mama Bear. Isn't that right, Mama Bear? There you go. She loves her bit of duckweed, don't you? Okay, so the water flows through and it comes out here. So water is now, instead of it just getting pumped up in here and round through here, there is a pump underneath there, which we can, let's see if we can see it a little bit. Okay, I have to clear off some of that string algae, but there's a pump back there. That pump is pumping the water up that pipe there, and that is that inlet, that lower one there. So essentially it's pumping the water up from the pond. This is essentially acting like a giant sump, 1,000-litre sump. It's getting pumped up there and the water is overflowing back down there. So if you can imagine, this is just like a sump system. The reason this isn't absolutely destroyed, green water, really messy, is because that pump down there, which is pumping this system here and back into the pond, has a UV filter on it. Now it's not a huge UV filter. I think it's only 9 watt, but it's ample and it's doing a great job. I'm getting a little bit of green algae on the glass here, and I said before I clean it off, and that's, it hasn't been particularly sunny, but if we can see, there's a little tiny bit there. That's all I'm really getting on the glass. The bottom, which I haven't scraped at all, is going really nicely green. It's getting that really nice little kind of carpet effect. It's all growing in, which is awesome. I like it because, again, it's a live wall, but also it's and it's absorbing nutrients and stuff, but also it's nicer for the fish to sit on than just glass. If there's any kind of heavy pieces of poop, I'll just siphon them out, and I can actually just siphon them down into this part of the filter here, and it just gets kind of used by the system, or I can siphon it out and have it used up by all my plants and stuff. And you can see here, those little tiny white pieces, they're divils. As there's little pieces of poo kind of in the water column, they'll chew it up, and it's kind of little cases are left, and then any bits of waste that they spit back out kind of go into the filtration system and back down into it. And then these guys here, so that water is connected to this. This is all the one body of water, so it's increased the overall volume of the pond. So even though this is heavily stocked for this size tank, the water that they're in isn't just that body of water, it is also this body of water. That's a 1,000 litre an hour pump. Or that's a pond, yeah, that's a 1,000 litre an hour pump. So this gets pumped, that's about 140 litres, so that's getting turned over, you know, a good few times an hour, which is awesome. It's brilliant. It means then that I can keep the water clear. The other thing is, because I've got an overflow set up on this one, keeping fresh water coming in, having old water going out, what I've done is I've just added the fresh water to this setup here. So not only are these guys in here all getting that water coming in down the bottom, which is coming in from the pond, they're also benefiting from that extra bit of fresh water. Now I have it set up so that it's kind of going in close to here. So some water's going to move through the system, some water's going to flow straight through there. It's basically diluting any water that comes up from the pond for these guys. So they've got nice clean water, and then some of it overflows back down, goes through the pond system, and is filtered before it goes back in here. It's working really well, I have to say. I can always tell when I've fed them, because you can see it gets a little bit murkier. They've just had a feed there a few minutes ago, but they are doing really well. And yeah, I'm super happy with how it's going so far. You can see this one here front and center. She's one of my regular bodied goldfish got at the pearl scale and managed to fertilise one of the eggs before I moved her out, so or moved him out, and she's the result. She's amazing, little chubby body. And where's she gone? There she is. But also, it's like the most agile pearl scale I've ever seen. She's starting to get the pearly scales as well, which is awesome. But anyway, that's a look at the system, and again, so that's all extra filtration for the pond, for these guys. Then we've got our wetlands bog filter, and I have to say, it's not super pretty, but the string algae bog filter is working so well. And what's happening is it's overgrown so quickly, and it's coming down here, and I'm trimming it off. It was actually blocking the whole filter outlet. I'm literally just getting handfuls of it and throwing it back up in here, and as long as it stays moist and wet like that, it's wicking water up and pulling out nutrients, and it's working incredibly well, isn't it, missus? Oh, whoops, frightened the poor girl. But these guys are all doing super. There's loads of new wen growth. That man, big chunky monster there, all in great form. And all the moss has grown in really well as well, actually, because it's nice and moist around here. The one thing that I have to do is I have to keep on pulling the string algae out from in the moss, because it is just getting all knotted up in it, particularly here. You can see there, it's just coming out in bunches from inside that moss. And if I just let that go, I mean, it'll take over the whole pond eventually. And the fish love any little bits of duckweed that get loose. And that's the other thing, I'm taking handfuls of duckweed. I kind of keep that as a little pool over there. I'm taking handfuls of the duckweed out and putting them into the pond for the fish as well. No point in wasting that duckweed. And then I'm just putting that back up there. Literally, as long as it's wet, it's absorbing nutrients out of the water column. Working really well. It's definitely not as pretty as the parrot feather one that I had, the way I had it set up last autumn. But that said, it's working so incredibly well. Batman has no issues with it. Sure, he can't see it as long as he gets a bit of duckweed out, but he doesn't mind. Do you? Right, no duckweed today. I want some good stuff. Give me the treats. The devil. I'll get you something nice. And the mossy window ledge is growing in nicely here as well, actually. This is constantly wet. I have this kind of set up so that the water is actually, it's wicking across, it's coming down, and I have it set up so that there's a little bit is getting in the gap here. It's coming down and it's wetting this here. Again, this isn't a forever setup, so I could seal all that up and remove that moss and have it all clean and tidy so there's no water moving around. But I do kind of like to just throw in a little bit of a mossy carpet wherever I can. I think these guys tend to appreciate it as well. Don't you, lads? Oh. No, they're all doing good. And it's all working out really well. Did you? That's one chunky ranchu. But anyway, guys, that's it. That's another one. I thought I'd give you an update on this. I just basically, I'm siphoning the bottom, but I'm not scraping it. I'm just using that guy there on the glass, and it's working out really well. A nice little mossy wall. Fake grass all over the place. Fake grass and fake grass on the ground behind. That's rented living. That's it, guys. Gonna wrap it up. Talk to you in the next one. Take it easy.